IBESS, Environmental Value Systems, Part 1, will introduce the concept of environmental values held by people. The significant idea here is that there is a wide spectrum of environmental value systems, each with its own premises and implications. In order to open up the discussion on environmental value systems, let's define systems. A system is a set of interacting or interdependent components forming an integrated whole, or a system is a group of interdependent elements forming a complex whole. As we move deeper into this course, we will be looking at systems represented by boxes and arrows. The boxes represent storages of matter or energy, while the arrows represent flows or transformations of matter or energy. We will talk about inputs and outputs, both in terms of matter and energy. There's a lot of detail to come on this topic, but take this as an introduction to the concept of systems. Lastly, systems can vary in size or magnitude, small or large, so we must be clear about the system of which we speak when we speak of systems. There are systems within systems. The Earth as a large system has smaller ecosystems within. So again, when we speak of systems, we must clearly define the system. Now, a value system is a type of system, a more loosely defined use of the word system. A value system is a worldview or set of paradigms that shapes the way an individual or society perceives and evaluates an environmental issue. Does it have component parts? Does it have inputs and outputs? Well, yes, loosely. The inputs are religion, culture, education, media, and experience, while the outputs are decisions and evaluations, specifically around environmental issues. Those decisions or evaluations can be ecocentric, anthropocentric, or technocentric, and we'll be looking at these in this unit. If you imagine a person as a system, and the person holds an environmental value system within, the inputs are education, religion, culture, and media, while the outputs are decisions that arise from one of three perspectives: the ecocentric perspective, the anthropocentric perspective, or the technocentric perspective. There's a spectrum of environmental value systems, the ecocentric, anthropocentric, technocentric, with everything in between. Characteristics of the ecocentric end of the spectrum would be nature-centered, an interest in biorights, self-restraint and control and consumption, and deep ecologists would represent the ecocentric end of the spectrum. The anthropocentric part of the spectrum would be people-centered. People manage global systems, pragmatic solutions to problems. Environmental managers would be in the anthropocentric part of the spectrum. The technocentric end of the spectrum would be technology-centered, technology providing solutions, a pro-growth control of systems, and cornucopians, those who think that resources are aplenty, are the individuals that would represent the technocentric end of the spectrum. So from one end to the other, with everything in between, our environmental value system is shaped by our education, our culture, our socioeconomic position, our religion, our experiences, and the media, and there is no wrong environmental value system. Ecocentrism integrates social, spiritual, and environmental ideas into a holistic ideal. Ecocentrism emphasizes a less materialistic approach to life, personal self-restraint. Ecocentrism emphasizes greater self-sufficiency of societies. Ecocentrism puts nature at the center. An ecocentrist believes in biorights, the rights of all organisms to live and flourish without regard for human needs or interests. John Muir wrote, "Keep close to nature's heart and break clear away once in a while and climb a mountain or spend a week in the woods. Wash your spirit clean." This home might be the home of someone with an ecocentric environmental value system. Ecocentrists are sometimes referred to as tree huggers, after political movements such as the Chipko movement in India, where activists hug trees to prevent them from being cut down. Ecocentrists believe that all species have their own rights and that humans have a moral obligation to protect species. Ecocentrists would protect species regardless of their use for people. Anthropocentrism is a view that humans must sustainably manage the global system through government processes such as legislation and taxes. Anthropocentrists would reach pragmatic solutions to environmental problems. In thinking about anthropocentrism, consider the term sustainability. The word implies an anthropocentric view of the environment. In 1983, the UN General Assembly published the Brundtland Report and defined sustainability as development that meets the need of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. You can clearly see the reference to people here, future generations, right in the definition. Sustainability is an anthropocentric concept. In this photograph of farmland, a beautiful image, you need to see the high level of land management. The use of the land in this way is anthropocentric, managing the earth for the benefit of people and managing the environment for future generations of people. The conservation of different species is often more anthropocentric than ecocentric. Anthropocentrism would involve protection of species so that they might provide benefit to people. Technocentrism is the view that technology can provide solutions to environmental problems. Technocentrism is an optimistic environmental value as it assumes that people play an important role in improving life on Earth. Technocentrists are pro-growth in order to increase the number of good ideas that people can generate. Technocentrists encourage scientific research to shape government policy and to understand how global systems can be controlled or managed to solve problems related to resource depletion. For example, technocentrists might support putting mirrors in space to reflect light as a mechanism to counteract global warming. This is a global geoengineering project that would be much supported by a technocentrist. For example, technocentrists might support pumping carbon dioxide underground to counteract the increase in atmospheric carbon dioxide, contributing to climate change. Julian Simon is an example of someone who is a technocentrist. He was optimistic about the potential of people. He wrote the book Ultimate Resource in 1981, arguing that natural resources are infinite, that new reserves will become available either through discovery or through the development of new extraction techniques, that there would be a more efficient utilization of existing reserves, and that there would be the development of economic equivalents, like the optic fiber in the case of copper, for telecommunications. There may be aspects of the ecocentric, the technocentric, and the anthropocentric values that appeal to you, but I want you to work at centering your personal view. I want you to develop your own environmental value system and be able to justify decisions on environmental issues. In an effort to help you find your center along the spectrum of environmental values, here's a question. If you think that climate change, a potential problem, is occurring because of human activities, what would be your solution for climate change? Which centric are you here? What is your center? Would you have all peoples in the world live like native tribes in Amazonia? Set limits on the number of children as a mechanism to control population? Or develop alternative energy? And that brings us to the end of ESS Environmental Value Systems Part 1. In Part 2, we will examine the environmental value systems of different world cultures.